adults is a job that comes with a lot of learning curves. When pressed in high pressure...
I'm Rich.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure your Walkman is at full battery because we're diving into our dad tapes.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to tape number 13 of the dad tapes. Let's get rolling. What are we drinking tonight?
Tonight, we are drinking this. It's a bland IPA. It's not too hoppy. It's not too... It's flavorful, but not overwhelming. It's a Untold Riches IPA from Flying Fish. It's a 6.0% ABV. And it's, I think it's pretty tasty. You know, obviously, the Flying Fish Brewery, they're, made in New Jersey, right over there in Summerdale, New Jersey. Shout out to Summerdale. Don't know where it is, but
Far as fuck.
if you're in 08, that means it's not too far away at the end of the day. You're at least somewhere in South Jersey or, close to it. But it's a tasty beer. It's nothing special. It's nothing like extravagant.
Yeah.
But it's a good beer.
I think it'd be good for cooking, to be honest with you.
You know what? That stew I made that one time, This would be perfect in it.
I think it'd be good for like beer battering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy it. I mean, it's like Rich said, it's a little bland, but honestly, I kind of think it's all right. So I'm not trying to like downgrade it or descale it, but it's like it kind of reminds me of like the Michelob Ultra of like IPAs. It's kind of like
I can see that. I think like a PBR of IPAs.
Yeah, it's on the lighter side. Doesn't have much flavor, but it's still
a good beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not a beer like it's not like going to be something you're going to put down and not pick back up again.
Yeah.
So how's your week been, man?
Not bad, man. This week was kind of like really eventful. I don't want to say like I did a lot of things, but just I didn't have that many deliveries this week, but I was constantly keeping myself busy at work, whether it was making topsoil, throwing back crushed concrete. Like I was just constantly busy.
Almost falling down a pile.
Yeah, right.
In your excavator.
Yo, dude, that shit gets sketchy as fuck.
Yeah, it does, man. You're digging out from underneath of you. Of course, it gets sketchy.
Yeah.
I mean, what idiot decides that they're gonna dig a big mountain of crap and dig underneath of them? Not many people do that. You got to have either some testicles or no brains.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, it's like you take a scoop from, the side of it, and all of a sudden you just watch the whole embankment just fall, and it's like, oh God, I'm going with it.
Like, you got some tracks hanging over just in the air, free spinning,
fucking butthole puckering and shit.
Oh, I'm sure your sphincter puckered right up on that one, man.
Yeah,
I don't blame it.
You probably wouldn't have been able to fit a needle in that bitch.
You probably wouldn't. That thing couldn't breathe.
Yeah, no, not
couldn't
at all.
breathe.
There was no air at all.
Gas coming, man. That thing was getting sucked right back up.
Oh shit. No, other than that, it was pretty good. Hung out with some friends, worked. Had Addison the weekend before. We ended up going down to my aunt's in Dover for the weekend, and
okay.
Sunday we did the K-May Zoo. So
how was that?
It was good.
Busy?
Yes and no.
How can it be yes and no? It's either busy or it's not busy.
I'll put it this way. There was enough people there to be annoyed. But it wasn't as many people as like a holiday weekend, where everybody comes down to the shore and just says, "Oh, free zoo, let's go."
Yo, look, when you're born and raised in Cape May County, okay, and you have field trips every year to the zoo through your school growing up, every single year, okay, not only does it lose its, you don't take it for granted, but you're not enamored by this zoo anymore. And secondly, you become very, easily intolerant of any crowds.
Oh yeah.
So come even late May, the only time I'm going there is if I'm looking for trouble. And honestly, it's a mess. It's a mess. I hate it. Parking sucks. The people suck. It can get hot, sweaty. People stink.
Yep.
The animals can stink.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know which one smells worse sometimes. I don't know. But it sucks.
Listen, man. Sometimes I'd rather smell animal shit than fucking BO. Enough about me, man. How was your week?
It was pretty mundane, pretty normal. I will say for those who have been affected, I know this tape's going to be aired out, hopefully post all this fire stuff happening in Canada.
Yeah.
It sucks. That situation, it sucks. It's clearly one of the biggest ones in a while, and it's only the start of.
Honestly, I think biggest in history.
It's last I checked, it was about 9 million acres.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's scary, and I hope people are being safe.
Yeah, especially we actually have a couple of our listeners that listen to our show that live up there, around that. I mean, around the area. I don't exactly know where, but tie and leash. Hope you and the kids stay safe. That shit's no fun, man. It's no joke.
Our heart definitely goes out to those people. By the time, everyone listens to this, hopefully, at least the smoke wise will be gone. And hopefully the fire itself can be a little bit more contained and controlled. But I mean, it's still scary.
Yeah, it really is.
So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, just trying to, trying to keep the kids preoccupied inside the house because, we can't really go out. How's it fair for me to let my daughter outside, but not my son? You know what I'm saying? What's he going to do? Stand by the back door and watch Bridget swing on the swing? Yeah. And she would do that too.
Yeah, she would.
She would do that too. She's a sassy one. Just found out that my toilet has a hole in it. So in the tank itself, or in the bowl itself, you saw that thing. I had to fix that thing up with some electrical tape and super glue for the time being. Come to find out, it was a hole the entire time, and it was leaking water into there. And that empty space, that cavity between the bowl
porcelain, yeah,
and the inner bowl is filled with water, and it smells bad.
I just want you guys to picture this too. This was the first thing I saw when I got here. I come upstairs, and he's got a turkey baster in his hand. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? And then he says, the toilet's broken. I'm like, why the fuck do you have a turkey baster in the toilet?
You got to syringe that water out, man. It was so bad. I was just thinking, okay, like there's a little bit of water in there from the time that I was just trying to clear it out, Once it fell through, I was like, okay, I got this thing, But, dude, that water must have been sitting there for a while. I tapped on that part of the bowl on the outside of it, and it's just like clank, clank, clank. I'm like,
tink, tink.
Yeah, it was not even like a hollow. It's like you're hitting a freaking brick.
It was like a stud.
So, yeah, that's going to be fun to get to remove. And I'm not going to touch it. That's going to be a plumber job. So if there's an issue that happens, it's on them to fix it. Cause
yeah,
I don't want to have to pay for it.
You already had one nightmare with a toilet in this house. You don't need another.
Let's not talk about that first floor bathroom. Jesus, man, that was horrible. But yeah, other than just, house issues and dealing with two gremlins who are getting stir crazy, just a normal everyday week, man.
You know what time it is?
I think it's time for us to be prepared.
You are right.
And by being prepared, we are going to be reading tonight, Be Prepared for Outings, in our handy, dandy, lovey-dovey Be Prepared, a practical handbook for new dads.
Which we are more than halfway through now, I want to say.
We are more than halfway through. We are. It's a nice thing to see that.
Yeah, it really is.
It makes you feel accomplished. It's like when you let your grass grow too long and you cut it, and you just have to stand on a sidewalk with a beer or a cup of coffee in the morning or whatever time of day it is,
Take a
just,
sip.
take a sip and just hand on your hip or hand in your pocket and just sit there kind of like nodding your head like, yeah, that looks good. I did that. But anyway, so this is, again, it's be prepared for outings. And as a dad, you know what it's like. You need to be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Snacks on hand 24/7.
All the time, dude.
36/12. You know what I'm saying? Like, get it right.
Like
Get
I
it
said
tight.
earlier, got to have the be prepared backpack, man.
That's right. That's right. As you're well aware of, as a dad, the hardest part of getting out for an outing is getting out. So once you've managed to get out of the house with the baby, don't go back in, no matter what it is. Because you're going to find yourself, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be chaotic. It's already going to be chaotic leaving. If you have to leave the car to go back inside the house, you just better off staying back inside.
Well, yeah, there's countless of times I get my kid in the car and I'm like, shit, I forgot something. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'll just buy another one.
Exactly. So, the book says, many dads get the book says many dads get a case of the cold sweats, which is true. You kind of get nervous, especially when it's your first outing. Yeah. When faced with their first solo field trip with a small fry or a small guy or small lad, or whatever you want to call your little tyke, little sucker, little leech.
Little cheese.
So at the end of the day, after all, you haven't even mastered the in-home care where there's plenty of food, shelter, equipment, and toys, and immediate access to emergency services. So what makes you think you can survive in the field? In a word, though, preparation. You need your gear bag. That's a dire thing. Dire thing. You need that.
Yeah.
So there's 8 basic things that you want to keep in your gear bag. Diapers. It goes without saying. Wipes. Plastic bags. Because at the end of the day, when you get a poopy diaper, not only do you not want to have to carry around those damn wipes and that diaper in your bag, just put it in a plastic bag, man. They make scented ones. Smells great. You know what? It still smells like crap at the end of the day, but it's still, it is what it is. Changing pad or not. You can change that sucker on the grass.
Yeah.
Okay. All natural. You definitely need bottles, though. Through and through bottles. A burp cloth, because you're out in public, man. You don't want to get spit up on. Spare clothes for that baby and toys. That's a definite toys.
Yeah.
And they have to be age appropriate toys. That's the thing.
Well, it's like Addie. Addie can't go anywhere without her kitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bridget can't go anywhere without her unicorn llama. Unicorn llama. Everything's unicorn with that girl. It's very interesting. So that's the main items you want to keep in your bag. Then there's some supplementary items. You want to have your typical dad stuff in this one. You want to have a multi-tool, pocket tools like your Leatherman, useful for anything really. Duct tape. We all know duct tape can fix, quite honestly, anything.
Yeah.
It can even fix a crying baby because you slap that tape on that baby's mouth, good to go. Extra pacifiers. If in case that baby is a crier and rips that duct tape off, you got a pacifier for it. Get that baby a binky. A spit up resistant watch. I can't imagine anything spit up resistant.
Swatch.
A swatch.
A swatch.
Yeah, water. Great. It's great for water, but spit up is different, man. Spit up will dry and get crusty on the on the indents of that watch, and it's gonna smell. So you could try to find yourself a spit up resistant watch. My idea of a spit up resistant watch is just don't wear a watch. A keychain toy. Got to keep them entertained like a dog, and then a camera just in case.
Your phone.
Yeah, if your phone doesn't come equipped with a camera, then I think you're in the wrong century, buddy.
Yeah.
So. And that's the stuff you want to bring for your first outing. That's our best way to be a prepared dad.
All right, so our goal of the show tonight. Raising and grooming your children to become civilized adults is a job that comes with a lot of learning curves. When pressed in high-pressure moments, we tend to fall back on our instincts. Sometimes, though, our instincts are built off of how we were raised. What do we do when we weren't brought up with a proper upbringing of our own?
It's time for that lovely data dump. So get your dumps out for the day. There are commonly 4 types of parenting styles. You have authoritarian, you have authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved. To first help yourself in breaking the negative generational parenting habits, you should identify the style of parenting you were raised with. If you aren't aware of the general parenting styles, we will provide you with a link in the show notes for it. Being aware of the styles you were raised with and having that awareness of how you would like to parent your children is just the first step, though. There was a study published in 2018. They had a refined focus on 3 of the 4 parenting styles that we just stated, while creating a sub-style beneath the authoritative style. The study finds that children raised with authoritarian style of parenting are more prone to negative outcomes, such as behavioral or conduct problems, hyperactivity, and they typically express more negative emotional symptoms. These same children also presented less positive outcomes when comparing it to the other parenting styles, specifically more so pro-social behaviors. So just being socializing and being able to socialize adequately with kids the same age and not having problems arise. Kind of important, I'd say. Ultimately, this study provides the sub-style of authoritative style, a positive authoritative style, which is the termed sub-style of the authoritative style. It's a bit confusing. Sounds like we're talking in circles. So the authoritative style, this study termed a branch off of the authoritative to a positive authoritative style. And the background information for that sub-branch is it's just a lot more support with less harsh punishments or less rules than the authoritative. And the authoritative, again, if you guys aren't aware, they're typically less severe in regards to punishing or rules than the authoritarian style. So this positive authoritative style provides the most optimistic outcome for a child looking to eventually become a stable and productive adult prepared to raise their own children one day. Lastly, there is a study, though it's outdated, that provides results of the effects of their termed neglectful parenting. It is what I think the precursor for what the modern day authoritarian style is, as it shares a lot of the characteristics. From what I was reading, it seems like in 2008 that this group of scholars termed it neglectful parenting, but in today's term, it's authoritarian. The outcome of the study provides a higher delinquency rate of all types of crime for children raised by the authoritarian style of parenting. That goes from theft, fraud, violent crimes, drug use. So it's kind of indicative that your parenting style influences a lot of what your children, how they're going to turn out.
So in my opinion, the 2 worst styles of parenting are the uninvolved parents and the over-involved parents, or as they call them, the authoritarian parents. But there are also more relaxed parents, or also known as the authoritative or the permissive. Where do you find your style of parenting in these 4 different styles?
If I'm being honest, I would say I'm more so authoritative than anything else. I do think that one thing I'm not is permissive. I'm not a permissive parent. I know that for a fact. The one thing about the uninvolved parenting style, so I'm not a big fan of permissive parents. I'm just going to be blunt here.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of permissive parents because at the end of the day, you're just trying to plead with your child and coax them with rewards or whatever it is.
Spoil
You're not exactly.
Yeah.
And just as much as what the uninvolved parent, they're uninvolved because mainly their parenting style is not about the children but about themselves.
Yeah.
Their rules, their punishments, their guidelines, it's all focused toward the parent rather than protecting the child. Of course, every parent's going to protect their child, but it's ultimately a selfish approach.
Yeah.
It's me first, child second.
Yeah.
So in those 2 standards alone, I mean, I won't even touch permissive, Yeah. If that's your parenting style, as long as it works for you, great. If you're an uninvolved parent, if that's what works for you, great. The one thing I would say I do is I sometimes can dance between authoritarian and authoritative. And the authoritarian is just more so when it comes to trying to create rules.
Yeah.
And, I grew up with a lot of rules. I grew up with punishments, So at the end of the day, it's just my own life experiences manifesting through my parenting style. But that's not my desired parenting style.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I have to catch myself.
Yeah.
Or I could see myself slipping into that authoritarian style, which is not what I want to be.
Now, I can honestly relate to that. I mean, in my mindset, when I look at it, I kind of see myself in between the authoritative and the permissive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more of a Gucci guy. I'm very, I guess you could say, relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
But not in a sense to the point where I'm going to go and spoil my child. But when I see the permissive end, when I was reading the article myself, they're a lot more relaxed with their children. They come more of a friendship.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say that I'm just being, me and my daughter's relationship is strictly a friendship. It's not. But when I grew up, if you were friends with your parents, there was a lot more things that I don't want to say that you got your way.
Yeah.
But it was a lot more.
You would be able to do a little bit more because there's just more leniency.
Yeah, there was a lot more leniency because, you were I was very open with my parents. I told my parents everything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was times where I did have that authoritarian state because of some of the shit that I did. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to do the same thing because I don't want my kid, or I don't want my daughter to be, more or less scared.
You kind of, so you answered my question to an extent. But the one question I would definitely want to ask is, you're aware of the parenting styles that you want to approach your child with. Authoritative, I think it's pretty clear that that's the approach. And yes, I think bouncing between permissive and authoritative isn't necessarily a bad thing. So don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Using that style of parenting, though, as you just said, you can bounce in between the permissive and the authoritative. When you're in those moments of realizing, hey, I'm being too lenient here, I'm letting her get away, and she's going to push the boundaries, and that's just what children do.
Yeah.
How do you bounce yourself back and shift gears to become that authoritative parent again?
Yeah, that's the tough part.
It is.
In my opinion, because I kind of lived it, I was more relaxed with my mom, as well as, when it came to my dad. I mean, not saying my dad was very strict, because he wasn't. But
your mom was more...
My mom was a lot more...
parenting?
Yeah. She was very lenient with a lot of things that I did. But it was only because I was open with her. Mm-hmm. I told her everything. I didn't really tell my dad that much until I got older. But in my opinion, with, how things went when I grew up, when it comes down to the crack of the whip is what you would say at that point, because you don't want them to get past a certain point, because then they're just going to be like, oh, I can get away with anything.
Yeah.
You can't always be that person. It's tough to bounce in between the two, mm-hmm. But majority of the time when I pick Addison up and we get home on a Friday, I'll tell her, like, hey, take your stuff upstairs, I'm going to start cooking dinner, or my mom's going to have dinner ready here soon. If you want to go upstairs and watch a little bit of TV, you can,
Yeah.
Or, play with your toys, come down, converse with us, whatever you want to do, Majority of the time she'll kind of go her own way.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll get a little out of hand, and when it does get out of hand, I kind of have to be like, well, I don't want to be mean, but, I told you, take your stuff upstairs and come downstairs. We want to know about your week,
Well,
it's
more or less a gentle reminder of the boundary that you set, or the guidance that, not the guidance, but I don't want to necessarily say a rule, because a rule and policies are different than what you're clearly defining your expectations of her.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it comes down to. And when she starts to stray, it's no different than like a dog. how mother dogs handle their puppies.
Yeah.
If that dog starts to become a little too rambunctious or something like that, mom isn't going to go and pin the dog down and scare the dog and intimidate it. The mom isn't going to just let the puppy go and continue to do this stuff that could actually potentially hurt the puppy.
Yeah.
No, the mom is going to come and it's going to grab the puppy by the back of the neck, and it's going to carry it back and maybe nudge it or whatever the next time, or and it'll take the steps to get more and more. But at the end of the day, it's never to a point to where it's going to hurt the puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's what authoritative is. You're providing your daughter those expectations, and when she kind of strays and pushes those boundaries of your expectations, that's when you have to say, "Hey, look, this is what I said. If you want to do this again, if you want to do this the next time you're here, then let's do this the right way. Or next time we're just going to have to do things differently."
Yeah, and you see, and that's where it comes down to, because I've honestly had that situation where I have had asked her to do one thing, and I will give you a reminder, like if if I don't hear anything within like the next 5 minutes and something's going on, I will go and say, why aren't you doing this? I asked you to do this, and then I'll say this, this is your next chance, this is your shot to please do what I asked.
Yeah.
And I'm not mean about it, but if it gets to the point where it goes astray again, that's when I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, you're done.
Yeah, yeah.
And I gave you your opportunity, and this isn't happening anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But no, and that's a good approach. Again, kids are just little people.
Yeah.
I mean, they
may not have like the full on consciousness that we have, but
not even that. I'd say that they potentially do. They just don't have the resources or abilities to, firstly, depending on their age, express themselves appropriately.
Yeah.
Which is why their physical actions just speak more voluminous than their words, because half the time they don't even have the words or the capabilities to express to you verbally what they're going through or how they feel. So, their actions speak a lot, and there's like when Addie goes and doesn't necessarily do what you're telling her or asking of her in those moments, that's not because, she's,
no, she's just blatantly saying, fuck you, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, she's not going out against it. It's just more or less, she's, everybody's been there. We've all been kids.
Yeah, squirrel
You have to
brain.
be a kid before you're an adult. So we've all been there. It's like, you know what? Hey, I'll just take a few more minutes. Even as adults, I do that. My alarm goes off. I'm just going to still lay in the bed for a few minutes.
Every day, bro. Every day.
So at the end of the day, a kid is honestly no different than a grown adult. And, you need to... Would you really want to have your boss come to you in the excavator and tell you that you're doing something wrong? And, hey, you know what? I'm taking my belt off because you're going to get a whooping. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what? Maybe some people have that fantasy.
Yeah, right.
But that's not the way you should approach a child, in my opinion. And that's, clearly the most beneficial parenting styles is not one of those methods.
No.
So it comes down to just providing those expectations and boundaries that you're expecting of your child. And it's clear that that's what you're doing. So, keep up the good work, bro.
Yeah, trying.
And last episode... you said your mom was more permissive, and you never really actually turned what you think your dad may have been. So last episode, you did mention that you've never been beat. That was not a thing that you had to ever live with and never had to deal with. What level of strictness, though, was it that you did have to deal with? Because you could still get a harsh punishment, but it's not necessarily physical.
The majority of the punishments that I endured was like, all right, so obviously me growing up in between, all right, so my bad years were between middle school and high school, that was kind of my rebellious state is what you would say. But
ironically enough, going to last episode, that's when you kind of faced all that bullying too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Majority of the time, the repercussions that I had to deal with were, I wasn't allowed to, I had no electronics at all. Like, there was no computer time, there was no Xbox, nothing. I wasn't allowed to go outside, nothing. It was read a book. That's all you're allowed to do, read a book. And majority of the time when that would happen, I mean, obviously I'd be grounded. I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
But those were my options, either read a book
And how many books did you actually read?
Fucking none.
None. Oh, shit. You hear that, Uncle Chris? You hear that, Aunt Kathy? Here at No Bucks. Josh, you need to go read a book.
Yeah, you know what? Well, I didn't really. I honestly started reading more when I got into high school.
Yeah.
I honestly wanted. There was two things I wanted to do. I wanted to be an English teacher, or I wanted to be a psychology major. And I did neither of them.
Yeah. But hey, working an excavator sounds more fun.
Oh, I fucking love it.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like a big video game, bro. All day.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
Great.
And then a nice little freaking simulator, construction simulator.
Yeah,
out there on
right.
hands, all times.
So, all in all, the resolution, no matter the parenting style you experience yourself or the style you exhibit towards your children, there's always time to change what you want to in moving forward, as it is with everything as a parent. A study from 2019 provides the tools needed to help become the parent we all want to become, with the results of that study exemplifying parents who are able to reflect before reacting stand a much better chance of producing a parenting style they're more comfortable with.
Yeah, so it kind of comes down to like what I said when I, even if it's just having that verbalized outburst of like, give me a minute to them, and just, again, they may not know the exact word. If you say to your 5-year-old, I'm overstimulated, they're not going to look at you like you're speaking, Chinese, but they're going to get the gist of it just by your tone and your actions,
your
and
body
your
language.
reaction. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. It's important to know your own boundaries, because you don't want to hurt your relationship with your children.
No.
So I think the one other thing I wanted to add on to it, in addition to everything you said, was to kind of go back to our innate and ingrained parenting styles that we're brought up with. Never hold a grudge against your parents if you didn't agree with their parenting style, or if you grew up and it was, whatever situation it was.
Yeah.
Just clearly, as adults, we all understand that everybody is just trying to do the best that they can.
Exactly.
So if your parents were too harsh, or if you feel like your parents didn't care enough to parent you the right way, or parent you at all, just understand that that's just what they were taught, and there's just more layers to that onion. Exactly.
It's the parenting style you have with your parents, could be different than the parenting style that your parents had with their parents.
Exactly.
And it all comes down to how your parents were raised, how you were raised.
It's generational.
It's exactly.
And we're breaking those generational habits. It's time for a little bit of some situations. What do you got for us tonight, bro?
Now, I'm going to say something here. I picked all the ones we have for this show tonight are spicy.
Just to kind of bring us up?
Yeah, just kind of bring the mood up a little bit,
And on a laughing note here?
Yeah. So, Lost in Translation by Anonymous. It says, today I had to explain to a Romanian colleague that, no, a cat flap is not a euphemism for a vagina. FML.
I can honestly see where he gets that thought process from, though. Yeah. I can, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see where he gets that from. But he is widely mistaken.
Yes, very. Next one is Rash Decision by Anonymous. It says, today I realized I'm allergic to sperm.
Oh, God.
I was a virgin until recently, and my vagina always seems to itch for days after sex. And I thought that might be normal. But then today I agreed to let my boyfriend facial me.
Oh, God.
And
oh, my God.
Minutes, I had a massive rash everywhere. It had touched my skin. This last one is by KJ1819. It says, today my boyfriend and I had great sex and afterward decided to take a shower together. He left the room to get some towels. So I went to the bathroom and wait. I walked out of his room wearing nothing but a thong and ran into his mom, who had come home from work early.
Oh, man. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Oh, man. You know what doesn't suck though is our social media stuff because we're pretty on that crap right now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thedadtapes. You can find us on Instagram at the Dad Tapes Podcast, and don't forget about Twitter. We do, but you can find us on Twitter at the Dad Tapes. You know, the one thing you need to do though is be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review of the show wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Don't forget to rewind the tape before boxing back up.
Don't be that guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy, pal.
Have a good week, guys.
Peace.